All right, so it's been an offseason filled with concern for Matthew Stafford, who's getting up there and continues to have back trouble. Ram tough, you got to put a question mark there because we'll see how tough he is, because it sounds like everything we're hearing out of L.A. is this back thing is going to be an issue that he's going to have to deal with all season long. Had a slipped disc earlier in the offseason, and he's had back trouble several times throughout his career. As we look at the odds for our NFL division preview, presented by Verizon in the NFC West. And it's the 49ers, the favorites, at plus 160. Then the Rams at 2-1. Cardinals at plus 380. Seahawks 5-1. This is one of the more bunched up divisions in terms of odds, in terms of everybody feeling like they might have a shot to win this thing going into it. Let's welcome in Pete Prisco and Logan Ryan here for our NFC West preview. Logan finished his career with the 49ers in that division. We're going to start with the Rams. And Pete, I mean, it would seem like their chances have to ride on the shoulder or maybe the back of Matthew Stafford. How concerned are you that this is going to be a season-long thing? Well,
you have to be concerned when a guy his age has back issues. And anybody who's had back troubles knows it can flare up at any time. It can be very painful. What happens if he tweaks it inside the pocket, throwing or running outside the pocket? I think it's a problem. And I think if you're the Rams, you got to be very concerned about it. Now, Jimmy Garoppolo has gone to a Super Bowl. Stetson Bennett looked good in the preseason. You got to qualify by saying it's the preseason. But the bottom line is, if you're the Rams and Matt Stafford's not there, you're probably packing it up for the year if he's gone for a long period of time. If he misses a game or two, they can navigate through that. But if he's gone for a long period of time, they have no chance to win that division.
Logan, you as concerned as Pete?
Absolutely. I mean, have you ever seen an epidural needle? What he got in his back, it's about this long. And that is not a good sign to get this early in the season. Like Pete mentioned, this is something that can re-injure, can flare up. He may need more of these throughout the year. Absolutely, this Rams season is contingent on Matthew Stafford's health. With him behind the helm playing against that offense, they could beat anybody. We saw it last year in the playoffs, how close they were to defeating a Super Bowl champ Eagles. They played the Eagles better than any team did last year in the playoffs. So you see the injury history there, but that back, that disc, this early in the year, this is something that I don't want to say likely, but there's a huge possibility this get re-injured. I do like the addition of Davante Adams. That's something different. Now, mind you, they've had Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. When they went to the Super Bowl, they had Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. See, Davante Adams is not that type of blocking receiver like they're used to having two of, so it's going to be a different offense with him out there. He can run the isolated routes as the X receiver. I do like that addition. I know Sean McVay is very smart, but even breaking Davante Adams into that offense may take some time because he's a different type of receiver than Cooper Kupp, what they're used to having.
Now, Pete, what do you think this offense is going to look like compared to when they had Cooper Kupp?
Well, he mentioned it. He's not as good a blocker as Cooper Kupp. He's a great blocker. Those guys are all good blockers, and so that's going to be an issue. I think he's going to move him around a lot, and he's going to get inside. He's one of the best route runners, if not the best route runner in the NFL. And I think that will play to his advantage. They'll figure out a way to use it. Sean McVay's a smart guy. But it doesn't matter if Matt Stafford's not there. It does not matter. None of it will matter if Matt Stafford's missing long periods of time.
Logan, it seems like each of the last couple years we go into a season and we overlook the Rams. And then there's this Sean McVay factor. He's somehow able to get more out of his team than many would expect going into the season. What can he do this year?
Oh, with Matthew Stafford, and he has his quarterback, a guy that he clearly wanted. He had Jared Goff. He wanted Matthew Stafford. They can beat anybody, and it's going to be the contingent on his health like we've talked about. But you got to understand, when you go through a season, the beginning of the season is finding the identity of the team. Every year in this sport, the teams are very different, the way the salary cap works. So it comes down to November and December football if you want to get in the playoffs. It comes down to November, December football if you want to sit there and win your division. And Sean McVay can do that with the best of them. He knows how to win playoff games. He knows how to win meaningful football down the stretch if healthy. When the Rams are healthy, they're one of the top teams in the NFC. They haven't always been that based on their style of play, how they run the ball, what they ask their receivers to do and block, and the amount of damage and hits that Matthew Stafford has taken throughout his career. So with Sean McVay at the helm, Matthew Stafford at quarterback, if healthy, the Rams are the top threat to the Eagles, in my opinion.
Interesting. Rams open up the season at home against the Texans on CBS in the late window a week from Sunday. Let's move on to the team that right now is the favorite to win the division, and that's the San Francisco 49ers. I noted what you just said, Logan. If the Rams are healthy, you believe that they're the most talented team in the division. How far away are the Niners?
Come on, Pete. You know I got my red on.
Hey,
I
I'm
got
with you.
my bang,
I'm
bang
with you on
Niner
this
gang
one,
on,
by the
Pete.
way. We're in unison on this one because I still think they're good.
Cool. I'll take it easy then. Listen, Christian McCaffrey's back. I've been there. I played for that organization. He is a huge part of what they do. We see the Brian Robinson acquisition. It's easy to say, oh, they're going to, spare some miles on CMC. I get it. But think about this, Pete. If all your receivers are hurt, which it seems like it is, Ayuk's not coming back, there's no Debo, Brian Robinson allows Christian McCaffrey to play multiple positions on the field. He doesn't have to pound the rock inside the tackles as much. He can flex out. You can run 2 running backs. You can put him in a Debo Samuel role. He's one of the best route-running running backs in the NFL. So I love the addition of Brian Robinson. He can really run that rock. I played against him. He puts his knees in your chest when he's running. So if you can keep Christian McCaffrey healthy, which it seems like he's 1 year on, 1 year off, whatnot, but I'm hearing he's healthy, he's ready to roll. Kyle Shanahan is a heck of a coach. Brock Purdy's coming back. Kittle's coming back. They're reloaded. I think they'll be just fine. I love the Brian Robinson signing to not only help Christian McCaffrey, but allow Christian McCaffrey to be on the field at different positions to kind of manage the amount of load he takes and the type of hits he takes, because Brian Robinson can run the ball. The Niners are going to be a running offense to start this season, and they're going to whip a lot of people's butts in the run game in early season football.
I think they're going to win the division. And I'm in the minority on that one. But when you look at this team, the NFL's
You think you're in the minority? They're the favorites right now. It's close, but they're the favorites.
Most people have the Rams.
I agree, Pete.
But when you look at this league, and Logan knows this, it's stars that drive teams. And if you look at the 49ers, they're still star-laden across the board. I mean, if you talk about putting guys in the top 100 of the league, they have a lot of them. Brock Purdy in it. Christian McCaffrey might be when he's healthy, might be the best, other than Saquon Barkley, might be the second best back in the league. And he can do things that Barkley can't do. And then you look at Trent Williams when he's on the field, best left tackle. He's been the best left tackle. Age is starting to creep in there. George Kittle, one of the best 2 or 3 tight ends in the league. Best all-around tight end because he can block. Fred Warner, star, best off-the-ball linebacker in football. Nick Bosa, you go through the roster. They still have stars on this team, and stars win games. And when you combine that with Kyle Shanahan, who's one of the best coaches in the league and one of the best guys who can scheme up an offense, the 49ers are still going to be, in my mind, the team to beat in the division.
You mentioned all those stars, and you put Purdy in there now, and he's the guy behind us, but we chose Purdy over the Christian McCaffreys, the George Kittles of the world. Logan, now that he has this big contract, do you think that takes pressure off him going into this season? I know you could say he's getting paid all that money, it's more pressure, but some fans had still been looking over their shoulder at whoever's behind Purdy for years, but now he has the certainty he's the franchise guy.
No, Brock Purdy's even keel. I don't think it changes anything in terms of pressure. There's more pressure when you're Mr. Irrelevant. It's more pressure when you're the third-team quarterback and you end up winning the starting job. It's more pressure when every quarterback wants to sign for the Niners, but they decide to stick with their 7th-round draft pick. I think now he's a little more secure, but at the same time, this guy's monotonous in his approach. He's like 24 going on 44 and how he approaches this game. He's an anticipation thrower. Beautiful for Kyle Shanahan's offense. They're thrown to spots. Offense is very complex, and he handles it really well. People don't give him enough credit for what he does with his legs and how he extends plays. They were all banged up last year. I wasn't there last year, but the injury bug was going around. I think they're reloaded. Easiest strength of schedule. You want to win your division, win the most games. When you have the easiest strength of schedule and you're the Niners, that is a perfect route to winning your division. You do that, you get in the playoffs, then it's a brand new season. I think this lines up perfectly for the Niners to come back a little healthier this year. Not completely healthy, but like Pete said, the stars are back. And when the stars back with a good head coach, a good quarterback, and an easy strength of schedule, they're going to be winning a lot of games this year.
Yeah, the receiver room is a concern with the injuries there. Ayuk still out. Jennings is banged up. And, they're signing guys off the street. Valdez-Scantling came in. Marquez Valdez-Scantling came in there. He's in there now. That's a concern. But with Kyle Shanahan, it kind of offsets it. You talk about pressure on Brock Purdy. The pressure was on Brock Purdy last year.
Right.
And the reason it was on Brock Purdy last year was he had to produce without the guys around him. McCaffrey was hurt. Debo was hurt at times. The left tackle, Trent Williams, was out of the lineup. And he produced, and he proved to people he could. So I think the pressure's off now. He'll be that much better.
Logan mentioned the schedule. They start with the Seahawks. Then it's the Saints, Cardinals, and Jags. So a chance to get off to a good start if you're the 49ers. Let's move on. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Logan. 4-0, you think?
4-0.
You 4-0, Pete?
4-0. Oh, yeah.
4-0. Okay.
Jacksonville game's in San Francisco, is it not?
Jacksonville game is in San Francisco. Yeah, first two on the road, at Seattle, at New Orleans, home against the Cardinals and
Jacksonville never
Jags.
wins on the West Coast, so that's a win automatically.
Both kind of going 4-0. Let's go to the Arizona Cardinals, who they're going to play in Week 3. And, Logan, they made a big jump last year from 4 wins to 8 wins. How do they make that next jump to be a playoff team?
They got to win that division. That's going to be tough. Pete and I went through that with the Rams' health and the Niners getting back. But I like this. I like this Cardinals team. I thought I was going to surprise some people by saying I don't have them coming in last here, but that's what odds have there. But I truly do. They loaded up on defense, man. They loaded up on defense. Josh Sweat brought Calais Campbell back. They're obviously their first-round draft picks hurt, but they drafted defensively. I love Will Johnson. So I love what they're doing on defense to surround Budda Baker with some talent finally. Offensively, they ran the ball really well last year. And people don't know that. They ran the ball well. They had a 3,000-yard passer in Kyler. They had a 1,000-yard rusher in James Conner, and they had a 1,000-yard tight end. They got to get Marvin Harrison Jr. going this year, though. They got to find a way to make it 4,000-yard players on offense. And that is going to be their biggest thing. How they commit to this run game and its ability to throw the ball to the tight ends and play more possession football. How do you get your star receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. going? He had a good year. Not a great year compared to these other rookie receivers that we expected from him. But mind you, Kyler Murray was coming off the ACL last year. I think they're playing a little safe with him. What I'm hearing is that he's back to his old self. He's scatting around back there like a little mouse in the pocket. I expect to see Kyler's legs this year. I expect the offense to be improved. And with a much improved defense, I can see these Cardinals being formidable in the division.
We know they were going to be feisty. They were feisty last year, and they didn't have any talent on defense. And now they've added talent to that side of the ball. They're going to be that much better. You mentioned all those guys they've added. Sweat gives them a pass rusher. When Walter Nolan gets back, he gives them a threat. He's the first-round pick in the middle. Calais Campbell's a pro's pro. Then you go, Will Johnson has surprised everybody by being a guy who won the starting job as a rookie. And so then you look at the other side of the ball and you go, okay, the defense will be better. They were feisty last year. What about the offense? Well, they collapsed down the stretch. Kyler Murray didn't play well in the last 4 games of the season. And I think that's something that kind of hangs over this team as they go into the season. He's got to prove to people that he can be the guy that we saw early in the season when they got off to the great start. Because it's a proving year for him. I mean, next year they can probably get out of that contract if they want to. So it's a big year. And Logan mentioned they've been raving about him in the preseason and in the camp. But let's see him translate that to the football field. If he does, they're going to push for a playoff spot. They can push for a wild card spot in that division because I think they are going to be better on defense and they have enough talent on offense.
You mentioned the contract, and there's dead money that kind of falls off, gets cut in half after this season, and you said he's got to prove something. Where's that line? Like, what does he have to do to earn another year in Arizona?
Well, if he plays well, really well, puts up good numbers, and they still don't make the playoffs, I think that's good. He's in. If he doesn't play well and they miss the playoffs, then you have a major problem. And so I think it's not about making the playoffs, because if he put up good numbers and they still missed out on the playoffs, then you say, okay, well, the defense is young, they're growing, they'll be better next year. I think it's all about what he does from a statistics standpoint and try and get to the postseason. But I don't think making the postseason is what's going to say or yay or nay for him to stay in Arizona.
Logan, what do you think?
I agree with Pete, man. We're spot on, man, on this one. I think Kyler just has to play well. You can't always tie if they got in the playoffs or not. The division is improved. We understood that. But he has to play at a high-level version of Kyler Murray. And they wanted him to settle down, learn football, play it the right way, play the quarterback the right way, but also have your splash of what makes you Kyler Murray. If you release Kyler Murray, who are you replacing him with? And if he's a free agent, he'll be a free agent for one day. He has that type of talent. I played against him. He's special. Now, has he been a barn burner his entire career? No, but he's a guy that you have to game plan against. Like, we can't let this guy out the pocket. We can't let him kill us with his legs. We got to keep him in there. And he's improving as a passer in the pocket. That was some of the steps he had last year. So if he puts it together this year and he's able to play like a Pro Bowl Kyler Murray, really good stats, 3,000 yards last year. You get that up to 3,500. You get Marvin Harrison going. You get a good rapport with your young wide receiver. He'll be there to stay for a long time.
Saw that schedule. It's not ranked as the easiest in the league, but it's a really easy start when you look at 4 of the first 6 games: Saints, Panthers, Titans, Colts. So an opportunity to get off to a good start. But a lot of the problem for Arizona has been finishing seasons under Kyler Murray. Let's move on to the last team in this division here in our NFC West preview presented by Verizon. It's the Seattle Seahawks. Logan, would you say the ceiling is higher, lower, or the same with Sam Darnold at quarterback compared to Geno Smith?
It's lower, in my opinion. It is not just a Sam Darnold, Geno Smith comparison here, but I liked what the Seahawks had last year offensively, weapons-wise. They don't have DK Metcalf now. They don't have Tyler Lockett. Okay, they have Jackson Smith and Jigba, who's a very good slot receiver. They just brought in a really good slot receiver in Cooper Kupp. I don't get how that pairing works. Clearly, they want to run the ball and throw the ball to these slot receivers, but you could have had Geno do that. So I don't see the improvement offensively there. Obviously, defensive head coach Aaron McDonald, they weren't as good as maybe people anticipated. So maybe second year, third year in the system, it's a little bit better there. But I don't see how Seattle has improved in the offseason. I don't see how Sam Darnold is a major step up over Geno. You might argue a lateral step, right? But I don't know if it's a step up. Sam Darnold learning another new system. He had some really good, flash last year with Minnesota. How sustainable is that in a new system? So you see this offense last year, the offensive line wasn't the best with the pressure and the sacks. But I'll let Pete take that part of it over. But I do not see Sam Darnold coming and lighting it up with these offensive weapons and what they got going on.
I worry about Sam Darnold by what we saw about him in the last 2 games last year, the playoffs. I mean, it wasn't very good. Let's be real. And I wonder if the moment wasn't too big for him. Sometimes, like I always say, Chris, you are what you are. And Sam Darnold was a backup quarterback essentially going around the league. And they rescued him in Minnesota, and he had a good start to the season. But when it came time to win and go to, do something in the postseason, he didn't do it. And that's a worry. So I think at the best, it's a lateral move for the for the Seattle Seahawks. I worry about the offensive line. Now, they went out, they drafted Gray Zabel. He's been a monster at guard. They love him so far. And so that'll help upgrade the offensive line. But when you go look at those numbers, and you go from those numbers, you got to be a little bit better than that. Cut those sacks down by 10 at least. And I think that'll be something to keep an eye on, because if they don't, it doesn't matter who plays quarterback, because he's going to get beat up.
You have a less mobile quarterback in Sam Darnold, too, compared to Geno Smith. Logan, what in your mind would have to happen for this team to be playing for a playoff spot Week 18?
Top 5 defense. They need those DBs. They need that defense to turn the ball over at an alarming rate. I'm talking some 2000 Ravens type stuff. You need some great defense, run the ball, field position, muddy up the games, find a way for Sam Darnold to execute down the end. Also, Sam Darnold had an offensive head coach last year, and we all have a lot to say about how good he is in Minnesota. He does not have an offensive head coach in Seattle. So when you have defensive head coaches, they want to run the ball, they want to play good defense, they want to play field position, they want to win more low-scoring football games. That's how defensive coaches kind of play the game, in my opinion, for the ones that I played with that didn't have Hall of Fame quarterbacks on the other side. Brady helped us out a lot. But that's what I worry about the Sam Darnold move. I don't know how it's going to help Sam Darnold, but they got to play some lights-out defense there. And they have really good players, so it's possible.
They have a lot of players. They don't have, when you come to the line of scrimmage, you don't identify one guy and say, that's it. But they got a lot of guys that can come in waves. And Mike McDaniel will do a good job with that. Will do a good job with that by bringing guys in waves. He did it when he was in Baltimore. They did, so I think they'll be okay on defense. I worry about that offensive line. Walker's hurt, so he's banged up and running. They got to run the ball. Charbonnet's had a great offseason, but if you can't run the ball and play good defense and put it on Sam Darnold, I don't think that's a formula to win in that division.
And that's why they have the longest odds to win the division, according to Las Vegas. Again, they open up Week 1 at home against San Francisco. One of those things they do have going for them is a great home field environment. NFL on CBS is kicking off a week from Sunday. You can also stream your local games live on Paramount+.